Welcome, everybody. We'll be starting soon. We'll just start letting people slowly in. But thank you all for joining, and give us about 1 more minute and we will start. Again, welcome, welcome. As you slowly come in, we'll be starting very soon with our lovely guest speaker on nonprofit and board leadership. Fantastic. I think we're looking good at 12:01. Jessie Bustamante, are you ready to go? It's fantastic. All right, let's kick this off. Well, welcome everybody. We are so excited you are here. Thank you for joining us during the Bear Down Block Party for today's webinar. I hope many of you have already participated in the events from yesterday. We had some great speakers yesterday, some networking mixers, and a Bear Down Network Masterclass. Don't worry, this is all being recorded, including yesterday's events. So you're more than welcome to go back and check those out. But we are really, really excited to have you here today. I'm Mark Acuna. I'm the Senior Director of Alumni and Student Engagement here at Arizona Alumni. For today's webinar on nonprofit and board leadership, we have one of my favorite alumnus in the whole wide world, Ms. Jessie Bustamante. We are so excited to have her here today. Many accolades, a great friend of mine, a great Wildcat. Just a few reminders, today's presentation is being recorded and it'll be archived at our Alumni Association website for you to access on demand. So find a link at arizonaalumni.com/careers to follow up on any of these recordings. And I'm sure many of you will have some great questions for the event today, and Jessie herself will answer those along with me. So please feel free to type them in the Q&A or comment section on your screen whenever you think of them. Jessie and I are very casual, so we'll probably stop some of our conversations if we see a great question and jump into there. So feel free to throw them out there. And now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce you to this great speaker and her many accolades. It's a long one, so everybody be ready. She's been pretty busy in her lifetime. So introducing you all to Jessie Bustamante. After graduating from the University of Arizona in 2006, Jessie started a career in the for-profit world. However, it didn't take long for her to realize that her real passion was in the nonprofit sector. When she starts talking, you'll see her light up and talk about this great experience that she has, and you'll totally understand when she found this kind of guiding light into the nonprofit world. But Jessie is now the Chief Advancement Officer for Excel, a nonprofit serving individuals with special needs. Prior to this role, Jessie's had a variety of fundraising and leadership roles within health and human services organizations. Her main focus in all these roles has been raising money for a mission, leading and managing teams, and growing the capacity of organizations. Even while growing her career within the nonprofit sector, Jessie has given back to the university in a variety of other organizations, serving as a board member and in a volunteer capacity. Jessie serves on the Arizona Alumni Association Governing Board, president of the Phoenix Alumni Chapter, former board member of the San Diego PhoenixCats Alumni Chapter, and serves as a mentor in the Wildcat Mentor Society. Talk about a busy volunteer. Jessie, thank you so much for joining us today to share your nonprofit experience and advice for our alumni looking to serve on nonprofit boards, and really, 101s of volunteering and why it's so important. So I'll just kind of stop and welcome you, Jessie, and see if you have anything to say before we start going.
Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining, and Mark and team, thank you for having me. I'm excited to share kind of some of my experience. I would say that I am in no way an expert of anything. I just jump in and get involved with everything that piques my interest. So I'll start with, if you're reading my bio like I did and got overwhelmed already, know that you got to start somewhere. And I just jumped in with both feet and said, let's do this. And I encourage you all to do the same thing. And we'll talk through many different challenges and opportunities that I went through as we move forward.
I love that, right? Yes, don't ever be overwhelmed. She's done this for a long time. There's some great things to be a part of, and it's kind of baby steps, right, when you're jumping into volunteering. So Jessie, we'll go right into the questions. We have a special guest that's throwing out some stuff. I just want to say hello to AP Duran, our dean in house today. We're so excited to have him here from the College of Humanities. Hello, Dean. So Jessie, as we jump into this, can you explain how you first started getting involved in giving back to nonprofits and serving on boards?
Definitely. So my volunteer experience goes back all to the U of A, to the Center for Student Involvement in Leadership. And I was a part of the Blue Chip program, which I'm sure many people have heard of. I know it's still around. And that really introduced me to just volunteering and what it meant to give back. I had no idea, I didn't understand that there was this opportunities, that this was a career, and even the nonprofit sector that I'm in. But with that, I knew when I graduated that I wanted to stay engaged. And so I continued to look for ways of how alumni in my community were getting involved. I really got involved when I moved to San Diego in about 2012. And the reason I got so involved is I wanted to meet people. And so I literally turned to the Alumni Association and I said, how can I meet more Wildcats? I just moved to a new city. I don't know anyone and I want to stay engaged. So I reached out to you all and said, what do I do? And that's where I got started.
I love that. What a great resource we are here at the Arizona Alumni Association, right? So let's kind of reverse back. You talk about the experience as a student and kind of getting involved there. Kind of give us like a pipeline story of like, gosh, I did this, I did the blue chips, and those pieces motivated me to want to volunteer and move forward as an alum.
Yeah. So I have to give AP and the College of Humanities credit because everything started because of my college experience, for sure, because I wanted to study Spanish. And the reason I wanted to study Spanish is I wanted to be bilingual so that I could help more people whose language, their first language wasn't English. And I knew just where Arizona was and where it was positioned. Like I wanted to be closer to Mexico, to a country where I thought maybe if I was in Southern Arizona, I could support along the border, but I got to speak the language. So really, it's always been in me that I knew that I wanted to do more. I wanted to give back. And that's intentionally why I chose the major I did and why I sought out groups on campus and even after, where I knew I could get involved and meet people and figure out what was the community need.
No, I love that. And I think University of Arizona is such a great place, right, to take that stepping stone and really finding people to help motivate you and move you forward. You're part of the Wildcat Mentor Society, right? Mentorship is so important. Did you have any mentors that helped you kind of guide you through this process?
So when I think back, I never really said to someone, hey, you're my mentor. I never really had that formal relationship, but I had a lot of people who really guided me along the way. I had some phenomenal teachers and instructors who, when they didn't even realize they were giving advice, I would pick up on something. So there were people along the way who really explained how to make the most of just your college experience and what to do when you graduated. It was things of just paying attention to the details, build on the relationships of the people you meet. Don't take anything for granted. Don't burn bridges. It was all the conversations in the middle when I met people were the lessons that I really took with me. So formally, did I have any mentors that I would have stamped on paper as my mentor? No. But there are so many people that guided me in my journey that to this day, I think of them as a mentor, whether they know it or not, because they were so instrumental in helping me figure out my future path.
That's so important, right? To have those mentors, or even when they don't know they're your mentor, that happens so much, right? So a little bit more back into being a board member, volunteer. How has your service as a board member kind of benefited you in your professional career? I know you've changed careers. Like, how has that all helped you navigate all of that?
It's amazing when you say you're a fellow Wildcat and you find someone either in person, through LinkedIn, through Bear Down Network, whatever it is, you automatically have this connection to them. So I have really used my network and really made sure that I've connected with people, specifically Wildcats, because we have this bond. And so many of them have helped me in my career. When I moved to San Diego and I did eventually come to a board meeting, and within a few minutes, someone said, will you come back to these board meetings and keep serving with us? And I saw what a great group of people it was. I was like, absolutely, I want to be back. This is this business owner who owns this finance and tech firm. This is a nonprofit leader. This is a retired individual who was in the legal field. I never would have met these people. And I got to know them. I asked questions of them. I set up in-person coffees or Zooms, whatever it was that worked for them, to really get to know them. And I was like, okay, so I just moved to San Diego. Where should I hang out? What restaurants do I go to? Who do I need to meet? And if I ever want to further my career and you know someone, can you help me get there? So I really just made sure I got to know everyone I could and just really built on those relationships intentionally. I'm a genuine person. I want to meet people. But also, I'd love to know that how we can mutually help one another as our career grows.
I love that. That gives me the chills, right? There's that that Wildcat spirit that I don't think you can find at any other university. I only know this university, but still, I think that you see somebody and you yell bear down, go Cats, or you see the red and blue or the Arizona A, and there's an immediate connection, right? And the Wildcats across the country, all 300,000 people want to help us, right? Whether you're a student, a recent alum, a legendary alum, wherever you are in your career life cycle, there's so much opportunity to get helped out. So I'd love to hear that kind of story from you. I have a quick question from Habib, another volunteer chapter leader. Could you please speak on how a student can go about finding volunteer opportunities on campus or even around Tucson?
Definitely. So I would rely on, and there's so many different volunteer opportunities to get involved with, but if someone really doesn't know where to start, I'd probably go back to your college. And I really would go to the administration team and walk in and say, who here can help me get involved in the community? Every college is going to have different resources for you to get involved. They're going to have different recommendations. You could literally volunteer on campus, you can volunteer off campus, but everyone can send you in a different direction. There's a lot. So if I were you, I'd probably start with your college and ask where to go. If you've recently graduated, the Alumni Association Mark and team are phenomenal resources of what's around the community, but don't be afraid to ask. And I say that because there's so many different ways to get involved. Ask questions, ask people around you, ask your peers, fellow alumni. If you lived in a dorm, reach out to your RA, kind of whatever program you were involved with, they will send you probably to a different place. And if I were you, I would take it in and learn as much as you can.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, just like the Tucson community too, it's just like Wildcats, right? The Tucson community loves the University of Arizona, loves the students here. So there's always opportunities to give back, not just to the university, but in your local community as well. I'm gonna ask this great question from the dean, your favorite dean. What would you tell students or parents who hesitate majoring in the humanities because they're not sure where that will get them on the job market?
Yeah. So I owe my ability to speak publicly and speak comfortably in 2 languages at that due to my college experience, because the humanities teaches you all about languages, literally what the meaning of every phonetic word is and why we say it this way and how it is and how it came to be. And it gave me the confidence to really understand how to speak to different types of people from different backgrounds, from different walks of life. So my cultural awareness grew tremendously. And therefore, I feel like my emotional intelligence grew, the ability to communicate with diverse groups of people. I attribute that all to my education because I learned about literally where language comes from and why we use the tilde over the certain words or why there's an accent, all of that. And that helps me relate to different people. I owe a lot of it to that. So my ability to communicate with different groups of people is definitely because being a humanities grad. So for all those who are uncertain, their parents get nervous, it is 100% worth it.
I love that, right? Yes, humanities covers everything, and that's such a great major to be a part of. Obviously, you have a great dean that connects to you guys. I love that. So as we talk more about we talked about student involvement, you're super involved with our alumni chapters and clubs, right? Kind of all over the country, you bounced around, where you've lived throughout the many years of your career. How's that involvement with our chapters help you stay connected to the university or kind of preserve that Wildcat spirit?
Yeah, the different alumni chapters are my lifeline. So I do move around a lot. From Tucson, went to Phoenix, to San Diego, back to Phoenix. I will also share that in the very near future, my husband and I are also moving to Seattle, which we're really excited about. And so with that, the first thing I'm going to do when I get there is look up the local chapter and make sure that I get involved. And why? Because I want to meet people. I don't know anyone in that community yet, but I know very quickly I'm going to know a lot of Wildcats. And I'm going to figure out ways that we can bring other Wildcats together. So right now, currently involved in the PhoenixCats, we're trying to reimagine ourselves post-pandemic-ish. I know we're still in the pandemic, but a bit more open than we were. So really trying to figure out what does that look like? How do we bring people together? And that's our ultimate goal. So I know that wherever I am, whether I travel, wherever I live, I look for my local chapter because I look for the connection to people who can help me grow in different ways.
Oh, that's great, right? And we do have over 30 Arizona alumni chapters all over the country, 6 multicultural groups as well. So we are, wherever you are, you're going to find some Wildcats. If you don't know where to go, let us know at arizonaalumni.com and we can get you in the right direction. And as we talk about chapters, you've been in various positions on our chapters and clubs. Kind of talk about a time commitment. What does it look like? What could you expect?
Yeah. So the time commitment of the chapters is really whatever you want to put into it. You should be able to commit. There's probably going to be a monthly meeting of some sort. Make sure you can go to that monthly meeting so you feel connected and know what's happening. But beyond that, give what you can and what you want and just be honest. So if you're looking to engage, for example, with the PhoenixCats, and sure, you can do an hour a month for a meeting. It may be one event activity a month. Great. Just be open and upfront of what you're able to do. If you really want to go all in and every weekend you're looking for some activity to engage, let the group know, and you can probably take a leadership role to facilitate some of those activities. So I definitely make sure the monthly meetings are critical to stay connected. Beyond that, you probably want at least a few hours to do an activity a month. But the biggest thing is to communicate with those around you of what you're looking for to make sure that your needs are met too, because these are all alumni who want to get together and meet great people. And the biggest thing you can do is be open, honest, and just be really excited to meet these great people too.
Totally right. And then once you miss out on an event, you have, I don't know if it's still a word, but you have the FOMO, right? And you're sad about missing on the programs and other Wildcats, that whole experience.
Definitely.
Totally. So as we kind of think about larger nonprofits and boards in general, we have a lot of young professionals on today. What is your kind of advice, different opportunities, ideas about serving on a board, a nonprofit board, and where do they start to find opportunities?
So when I first came out of college, I worked in I essentially went to Target Corporation, which was a phenomenal job, but I quickly learned that retail wasn't meant for me and I was looking for something different. So I was there maybe 9 months, maybe a year, and I realized pretty early on that this wasn't the path, but I'm grateful I tried this job to see if I like it. Let me see what else is out there. And I actually went on to work for a real estate developer. But what I did is I built community within a community in Surprise, Arizona, the far West Valley. And I was building a community for these people to get to know what's around them, to not only love their home, but to love the city they lived in. So I literally was doing Google searches of like nonprofit in this community or nonprofit children, West Valley, Arizona. I literally was just doing research, trying to figure out where do I go. And I found tons of nonprofits. I was shocked at how many there are in Arizona, in Phoenix, in the West Valley. And I did my research to find out what they were about. I called many of them and I asked the receptionist or whoever answered, like, I see what your mission is, but how does this really play out? Like you say you support kids. Are you giving out backpacks or are you serving meals or what does this look like? What do you really do? So I did research, I made phone calls. And when I felt really passionate about one, I started volunteering first. So this was an organization serving seniors and I really saw firsthand what they did. I literally was serving lunch. And from there, I got more and more involved and started asking more questions that when I saw an email come through, they were looking for board members, I stepped up and said, hey, I love what you're doing. I'm a volunteer. I know I'm very young and I can't give you really any money because I just graduated, but I would love to serve on your board. And I went through a formal interview. I wore my business suit and I showed up and I did an interview and they selected me to serve on the board. And they recognized I couldn't give money, but I had great ideas and a lot of new ideas. And we turned their whole big fundraiser gala event into just a really big fun party. So really don't be afraid to put yourself out there. People, I know that boards of directors sometimes you think are like old individuals, gray hair who have a lot of money. Okay, but boards want diversity. And that's a nonprofit board to your local chapter alumni association board, everything in between. We all want a mix of people who have come from different walks of life so we can learn. We can learn what interests these different groups and how do we best serve them and engage everyone. So I'm, like I said, just because of my background, my education, I just had this crazy confidence and I put myself out there to get involved and put myself on a board, even though I had no idea what I was doing.
It was such a great, awesome opportunity, right? Just jumping out there and figuring it out as you go along. So going back to the recent alums, they're navigating a new job, maybe a new city. You did the same thing, right? What advice or what would you talk about just kind of juggling being a young professional, getting to know your city, but trying to get involved in the nonprofit world?
It's meeting people. Like that's why the chapter is such a great place to start, because if you know the sector you want to go into, let's say you want to go into the legal, you want to go into IT, technology, attend a local alumni association event, attend a board meeting and ask people, is anyone in this field I could meet? Maybe you don't walk in with the intention of joining that board, but that's okay. If there's an open activity, go to it. And be ready to have your questions of like, I'm looking for someone who's in IT. I really would love this company. Do you know anyone there? And just start asking. Networking is a phenomenal activity to practice and also to move ahead in life. You never know where these connections are going to go. You never know who knows who, or it can help you get your foot in somewhere. As far as the nonprofit sector, I feel like all the leadership, let's say specifically in Maricopa County, a lot of us know each other. And when there's a great candidate who comes in who wants to get involved in the nonprofit sector, we all fight for that individual. We do. And we want to know who those people are who want to get involved. So I always welcome when someone reaches out, Bear Down Network, LinkedIn, however they find me, I always welcome an introduction to meet someone.
Yeah. What about a recent alum that's like, gosh, you know what? I just went to school. I didn't get involved in anything while I was on campus. My resume is not going to be good enough to apply to be on a board member. Like, what advice would you give someone like that?
To jump on the Bear Down Network and look for people who are offering to help. Literally, there are people who will help you with your resume. There are people who will help you network. You might just type in Phoenix, Arizona, see who lives there and reach out to people and say, how do I get started? People can select that they're open to mentoring. So that's really just a great way to jump in, message people and say, I need help. And I guarantee quite a few are going to step up and say, let's get started. I specifically had someone reach out to me from the Bear Down Network who recently graduated a year ago and wanted to start a nonprofit. And I've talked to him maybe once a month. We keep in touch. He is starting a nonprofit, a very small one. However, with that, we work together so that he could be in a place, hopefully in a year or two, where maybe there's a paid employee. I've never gone through the process myself of starting a nonprofit, but I want to help him. Why? Because he's a wildcat. I've never met him in person. We talk on the phone all the time, but I just want to see him succeed.
Oh, that's great, right? And using your network again, Bear Down Network, the Wildcats to make those connections. So let's talk about like logistics. Let's say I'm a recent alum. I joined a board because I think I'm really passionate about it and it's not working out for me. And I'm like, oh gosh, how do I gracefully exit out of there? Or how do I transition out of that? What advice would you give there?
Communication, just being open and honest. Sometimes you got to try things and you get involved and you realize this may not be the right fit. Just communicate. Don't burn bridges. You never know if you step away from a commitment that in 3 to 5, 10 years, you might be applying for a job and that person you just stepped away from is the hiring manager. So be open and honest. If something doesn't work, let them know and let them know why. And if it can't be fixed, make sure you leave with a really great relationship. Like, don't burn bridges. My first job was at Target and that was almost 15 years ago. And somehow that supervisor is coming back up and I'm like, wow, like this is coming full circle for a recommendation. It's just crazy how small the world really is.
So handling it professionally, right? And trying new things. And it's not going to always work out, right? But have a great way to release yourself out of that role.
Yeah, absolutely. And always do it respectfully. We're human, things happen, but just communicate what you need and why it's not working.
That's great. What about, not that's just recent alums, let's say I'm in my mid-career, I want to volunteer. How has volunteering on boards, the volunteering nonprofit opportunities helped how do you think that can help a mid-career professional?
In so many ways, really helping at a nonprofit, you are taking all the skills you've ever learned and really like translating that into this nonprofit. So for example, if you've been in the business world for 20 years and you're like, you know, it's time to get involved. I might be in a place now to make a financial commitment and I want to do that, but I'm not sure. You have tremendous skills from your 20 years of experience that nonprofit probably could use. So find an organization that excites you, whether it's children, seniors, homeless, domestic violence, there's tons. Whatever you can rally behind, start researching into it and kind of make sure you understand what they do and that you're passionate about that. But you can provide a lot to that organization. Some people think like, oh, I have a business background, it's so irrelevant for a nonprofit. A nonprofit is still a business. It's just a different tax status. And what that means is when I talk about my nonprofit, we're trying to break even and cover our costs. We don't really need to make a profit at the end of the year. Would that be great for sustainability to have a cushion? Absolutely. But we're not selling a product, we're selling a mission. So everyone who has this great experience from whatever career they've been in is so applicable, IT, business, whatever it may be. I had someone recently come in and she goes, I've been cutting hair. I'm a hairstylist. I'm not sure if I can help you. And I said, I work with children who have autism. If you can help us figure out how to help their parents get them haircuts without having a catastrophe or a meltdown, this is going to be mind blowing. Like, help us figure out what this looks like. Let's get some blogs going about this. Like, help us be the experts in serving these children who want haircuts, but they get really nervous because they can't communicate their needs. And she's like, you mean I can be an expert? I'm like, yes, absolutely. Everyone brings expertise with them, definitely.
Yeah, I love that, right? And it's like anybody can be part of a nonprofit or a chapter or a club, right? You can bring so much. And let's talk about being an expert. Let's say I'm a CFO and I want to join a nonprofit, but I don't want to be the treasurer, right? How do I communicate that? Because, you know, as we're reviewing applications for boards, we see, ooh, they have accounting background. They could be the treasurer. How do you balance that?
Yeah, I would definitely go in, if you know that already, go in with clear expectations and communicate that. Hey, everyone, I know I'm the finance person, okay? I know you're all going to already target me. I want to let you know I'm here because I'm excited to help. I am not looking to take on a leadership capacity as the treasurer, but I want you to know here's what I would like to do every month, and or be open to what they need. Maybe a treasurer is just someone who checks the bank account once a month, or make sure that the balance sheet looks good, whatever. Maybe it's not as deep of a role they think it is. So be open. However, if it's beyond what you can do, don't get started and then back away, because then you're not going to leave them in a good position. So understand what they're looking for, be open to it, and then make sure you understand if you can or can't commit, and let them know. Because that's okay. They have you. Maybe now they need someone else who has a finance background still, so you both can work together and balance that role out. Or maybe there are some skills and you can help them to find a better fit for what they're looking for because of your finance network.
So that open communication, right, on any kind of board is telling people where you're at in your career, how much time you can give, positions you're interested in. It's always about open communication.
Definitely, definitely. We're all human. Everyone's busy, has a lot going on. We just need to communicate with one another of what's going on, and people will understand.
Yes, 100%. So think about volunteering, and we know this burnout of being a volunteer. What kind of advice would you give for finding the balance to avoid this volunteer fatigue or burnout?
Yes. The way that I find balance is making sure that I understand the time commitment up front. So for example, I have said that 5 hours a week, I volunteer. And so I make sure that I am aware that if I want to find a new volunteer opportunity, such as sitting on a board, that I know when the meetings are. If I serve on a committee, when are those meetings and what is the time commitment? And what else would I be pulled into? So I really clearly ask up front, what is expected of a volunteer? What is expected of a board member? Does this fit into my 5 hours per week or 20 hours a month that I want to give to this organization or to all of my nonprofits as a whole? It's really important to schedule things in to make sure you know what you've committed to and make sure that you can make that commitment. And then also you got to have a lot of fun. You got to make sure it's feeding you. Are you enjoying this experience? Are you meeting the right people? Just make sure that it's feeding you what you're looking for. Are you looking for the social aspect? Are you looking to give your expertise? Are you looking to serve the meals? Whatever it may be, make sure it meets your needs too. And you're asking questions almost like a job. Because for some of these, it is like picking up a part-time job and you're not getting paid, but you're going to feel amazing if you have really clear, open communication. You understand what the expectations are to make sure that you can fill them, so you're not over-committing.
Yeah, right. Open communication and no overcommitting, right? Those are two big things when you're looking at that.
And I know it sounds so easy. Sometimes I admit I get into knee deep and then I just take a step back. Sometimes I go on vacation when it's safe to do so. But I often, once in a while, I'll take a step back and let people know, hey, I'm going to be gone for 1 week, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks, but I'll be back. And sometimes I physically leave and go on vacation. Sometimes I just need a break. But I let them know, hey, you won't be able to reach me for 2 weeks or whatever it is, because I'm going to be taking care of some home renovation projects, because I'm going to be spending time with family, because it's the middle of August and it's hot and I just want to sit by the pool for a little bit. That's okay. Everyone needs a break, and it's all about setting your boundaries and communicating that.
Great. I have another question for you. There's a lot of generational divides in the nonprofit world or volunteering on a board, right? So you're a recent alum and maybe you're intimidated by someone that's been on there for 25 years, or they're a legendary person on that board. How do you build that bridge? How would you suggest to do that?
Walk in with confidence. Like, because you are now a graduate of the U of A, you are amazing. You have just completed a university degree. You are ready to take on the world. What you've just accomplished is incredible. And remember that you now have this fresh, incredible perspective of what the world needs and how to move forward in the best way possible. You know how to do it. You probably know how to solve world peace if you really thought about it, or whatever it may be. You've accomplished something tremendous, but you just need a platform or a way to do that, or a way to share your opinions. So don't underestimate what you know. I guarantee those older individuals are going to welcome you with open arms, because they don't have the experience that you do. Their experience is different. They want to learn from you. They want to bring in your energy to move the organization forward. If these nonprofits just keep their boards with those who have primarily older individuals on them, they're not going to be relevant in 5 or 10 years, because they don't even know what the world wants. And these young graduates, these young individuals know what the world needs, what the world wants, what they want to do. So let's say in 10 years, these individuals are no longer serving on that board, and all of a sudden they have to start from scratch. They're going to find the world is a very different place, and their organization mission is going to need to shift to make sure it's relevant. But if they start bringing individuals in now, which many are doing, they're making sure they're staying relevant and they're staying up to date and aligned with what the community needs. So don't underestimate the thing that, oh, I just graduated, I don't know much. Oh, you know an incredible amount of information. And you deserve to share that with people. So find the best place so you can do that.
And it's like being a Wildcat student changes your life, but then it continues to change your life as you evolve into an alum, right? Being a Wildcat is forever, and it connects you through your networks. It gives you confidence. We teach you how to navigate the world. And I think that's awesome that you kind of throw that out there.
Definitely, definitely. Don't underestimate just the magnitude of a degree from the U of A. It's incredible, recognized everywhere. Everyone knows the University of Arizona, and it's very well respected wherever you go.
Yes, go Cats.
Yes.
So another question for you. People, always funding is an issue in nonprofits, right? There's always a concern there. We have a question about any recommendations about organizations that give grant workshops?
There are tons of organizations that have grant workshops. In most cities, there seems to be like a nonprofit hub. So for example, here in Arizona, we have the Alliance of Arizona Nonprofits. And that is an organization that actually has workshops on literally how to get involved with the nonprofit community here, and how to write a grant and where to find funding. And a lot of those workshops are free. So many cities will have some kind of alliance of nonprofits in their city. I know like in San Diego, we had one. I know San Francisco has one. I know a lot of West Coast cities have one. I'm sure they're all throughout the country, but that's a great place to learn. For young individuals, there's also Young Nonprofit Professionals Network, YNPN for short. And that's actually similar to kind of how our Alumni Association has chapters across the country. YNPN also has chapters across the country. And it's young individuals who have come together and said, I want to be involved in the nonprofit sector. Some of them are not working in the nonprofit sector, but they want to volunteer. And some have careers in the nonprofit sector. It's a mixture, but it's individuals who want to do good. And those are also great resources just about in every city to find people who probably have similar beliefs to you.
Great question, great answer, great question, great answer. So another questions are coming through. So Jessie, if someone does serve on a board, how important is it to include that experience on someone's resume?
Very important, very, very, very important. You should definitely highlight your education, definitely highlight your careers you've had, but also make sure you're highlighting your volunteer and your leadership experience. A board member is a leader. A committee leader is a leader. Being on a committee of an organization, being on the board of an organization, really definitely highlight what you've done. Those are all leadership roles. You have stepped up and said, I want to help this organization. So it's definitely important to share your volunteer experience. If you haven't served in a leadership role, let's say you are, maybe you have been serving meals or fixing bicycles for children. If that is the volunteer experience you have to date, absolutely still add it. It shows your extracurricular activities. It shows how you are expanding your knowledge and really building yourself, because those are all opportunities to really build your brand, to make you a more rounded person and more of interest to employers. So volunteering is definitely critical to add to your resume, absolutely.
That's a great answer. And so as we think about your humanities days, back in the day when you were in college and your humanities days, so you got the opportunity and you knew the importance of traveling, culture, cultural immersion and the benefits of studying abroad. Let's say I didn't get that opportunity in college, or I'm a recent alum. How important is that to you?
If I could go back and maybe change one thing about college, I might have spent a little bit more time abroad. It was pretty incredible to meet people of different cultures, different experiences. But with that, I think for those, let's say you're newly graduated or still trying to figure out what's next, if you can take some time to travel, do. It opens your eyes in so many ways. And don't ever think if you're stuck. So let's say you've moved to Phoenix after college and you're looking for a job. Okay, well, find a great job that really excites you, but set your eyes on what you want to do. There's still time to travel. There's still time to meet people. There's still time to move around and find the best fit for you. Maybe not today, but maybe in a few years. So I really think traveling and just really getting a better sense of different cultures and people really helps you in life to understand people. We are all different. We come from different places in life. But for the most part, the core of us, we're all people who want to learn about each other and where they came from and how they work. And that's going to help you work better with people professionally, personally. When you serve on boards, the more aware you are of different cultures, the more aware it will help you in any setting that you're in.
That's great. Great answer. Let's talk about advice. Big thing about advice. So I'm gonna hit you at a bunch of different angles here. What was the best advice you got when you were an undergrad at the U of A?
The best advice I actually ever got was probably go travel and just get out of here and go see the world. I love Tucson. I loved it. I love it. I still do. I think it's amazing. And part of me thought that Tucson was it, that I might stay there forever. And when someone said, literally go study abroad, go find a job outside of Tucson, go see what else is out there, I was scared. I said to my college roommate, like, I've been living with you for so long. How can I leave you? I was nervous. And the minute I stepped out of Tucson and just really saw Arizona and saw the world, I was like, wow, there's so much more. So really just don't be afraid. Do your research to make sure, especially right now, that it's safe to do so if you want to get out and about. But if you are comfortable, start meeting people, making connections, research online, and really figure out what the future holds. But don't be afraid. Don't let fear hold you back, because this world is such a big, incredible place, and we've got to take advantage of it.
That's great. It's really good advice for an undergrad. So go back to being a recent alum. You just graduated. What was the best advice you got there in that situation?
I remember the first day that my AT&T phone bill came to me, and I remember calling my dad saying, how do I pay this bill? And he said, figure it out. And what he meant was, I am not going to walk you through every step of the way anymore. You have to get a part-time job. You have to learn how to pay your phone bill. And I was really scared. I literally picked up the phone. I called AT&T and I said, how do I pay this bill? That was a great lesson for me. I didn't know how to pay a bill and I needed to learn. So although I was so angry with my dad for so long, I thought that was very rude, but he taught me a great lesson. No one else is gonna guide you in this world anymore, which is so scary. When I was undergrad and graduating, I was very scared. I had to make my future what I wanted it to be. No one's going to do it for you anymore. No one's going to tell you what class to go to. No one's going to tell you to get out of the building. There's a fire alarm. No one's going to tell you what time to wake up anymore. You need to pay attention to what's going on around you. You need to set your alarms, and you just got to take hold of your future and get what you need. And if you need to learn how to pay a phone bill, you got to call AT&T like I did. And it was really scary and I felt really silly, but that was the best advice I got, was figure it out, because no one's going to do it for you anymore. You've got great resources around you. Ask questions. How do I do this? Help me get here. But they're not going to do it for you. You have to do it yourself.
That is great advice, life-changing advice, right? Especially pay that bill on time so you don't get disconnected. But I love that. Yeah. So now, kind of full circle, where are you at in your career now? What advice would you give to really young professionals, other Wildcats trying to get into nonprofits, serving on boards? What is your kind of your umbrella story of how to give advice out?
Do your research to really figure out what moves you, what makes you happy, and figure out how to find that happiness. So for example, I knew that I wanted to help people. So when my career first started in retail, I was helping people in customer service, but they were getting angry with me because it was very transactional. And for me, it wasn't fulfilling what I wanted. And then when I got my next career and it was working in a community to build community, I thought, this is closer. I'm working in the real estate industry, but I'm helping people find community by finding their dream home. But I still needed more. And then when I was able to really figure out, like, I want to serve the community, I believe that's through the nonprofit sector, I started trying to research and find organizations that I thought I could be passionate about and really help them out. So I love working with children. I love working with children who don't have a voice, who don't have the ability to do XYZ because of something, because of where they live, because of a disability, because of a health concern. So I've really narrowed in on the fact that I love working with children. I always want to do that. So I did my research when I started volunteering of who's working with children. I also mentioned that I also enjoy seniors as well. I enjoy both of them. But for this example, for children, I did research to see what children nonprofits were around. How could I literally go and play with kids? Where could I find a place that would let me come in on my lunch break during research and lunch break when they were on recess, that I could really go and play with them. So maybe my career wasn't super fulfilling at first, but I found other ways to really find that fulfillment. So I would say for people to kind of figure out what makes you happy. And if you don't know, try, keep trying again, volunteer, get out there, see what excites you, and figure out how you make that more of your routine so you can do that more regularly. Everyone kind of finds what makes them happy in their own way. As you can see here, I have my family birthdays next to me. My family is my pride. And so I will do anything to have more time with my nieces and nephews. So I have built my life to make sure that I have plenty of time to FaceTime with them, to travel, to see them, because that's what moves me. So when someone's really kind of like, where do I even get started? Figure out what excites you, what moves you. How do you build that into the lifestyle you want? For early on, recent grads, I know I may talking about like your sometimes your dream job, what you want to do. The honest truth, sometimes when you graduate, you need a job. So don't be scared that you might just graduate and say, I need to get a job. I'm not sure if I'm going to like it. Take a job. If it's a good job and it pays well, start somewhere. That's going to teach you. It's going to start teaching you what you like and what you don't like. And you can put that into practice when you start looking for your next job. You're not stuck anywhere. So although I'm really grateful of where I am today and how I got to be, I had a lot of roadblocks, a lot of way. I stumbled a lot, I fumbled, I made mistakes, but I kept learning from that. And eventually now I'm in a place where I think I'm in a great place. I hope this is a career I stay in for a long time, but I'm also, if it's not, I'm going to take everything I love about this and make sure that my next step incorporates that as well.
That's so much inspiration in those words. I think, I love go with what moves you, right? That's huge. Find that and move with it, right? Like what a great thing to do. I love that advice. Before we kind of close up, I just want to see if there's any other questions, anything that anybody wants to ask. I'll give it a second to look. I just felt Jessie and I were chatting away here. It was a great conversation. No other questions? All right. So this was great advice today, Jessie. So glad you're a Wildcat in so many ways. If you want to share, like, how can people contact you or connect with you if they want to find more out about you?
I was just going to say, look me up on the Bear Down Network. Jessie Bustamante, I think I've checked every box that I'm open to help people connect in any way. If I can help you figure out where to go next, how to get started. If you need to call me at 7:30 in the morning before an interview and just pump you up, I'll do that too. So just let me know how I can really support you in your Wildcat journey. I'm here, I'm alumni. I've learned along the way. Life is not perfect, but I want to make sure that everyone here and everyone that hears this knows that I'm here to help and I want to be a resource, maybe an informal or formal mentor in some way, however I can help.
Spoken like a true Wildcat. So thank you all for joining us today for the Nonprofit Board Leadership Webinar. Don't forget to join us later for our chapter regional happy hours. Learn how to get involved, just like Jessie talked about today. If you haven't signed up yet, there's still lots of time. For more programs from the Alumni Association, don't forget to visit us at ArizonaAlumni.com and join the Bear Down Network. Get connected at beardownnetwork.com. Find more support, different ways you can get involved, and stay connected with Wildcats all over the country. Again, Jessie, thank you so much for being here today. And my last beautiful slide is, don't forget to get involved with your local alumni chapters. We're recruiting board members. You've received emails. Check it out. Even if you're interested, just see what the board is like. You'll have a great time. That picture is from a chapter leadership conference. One of the best times you'll have in your life is joining and connecting with other Wildcats. Once again, thank you all for being here today. Jessie, thank you for being one of the best Wildcats around, and appreciate you being here today.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, everyone.